That's a huge one.
Yeah, red jasper.
And let's see here if we can press there. Yep. So, hi there, everyone. Welcome to a Gathering of Light with Cody Bryce and myself, Eva. And hi, Cody.
Hello.
How are you?
Yes, I guess fairly good. Yeah, the best I could be right now. Yes.
That's good. That's good. So I hope everyone is doing all right in this shift of energies. We have walked away from the 77777 portal and are moving into Lionsgate. And we talked about the Lionsgate and these energies the last time we went live there. So we're not going to dive into that right now anyway. We are going to continue here with the laws, the foundation laws. And we are going to go into the mastery of the 5 levels of these laws. And I have this note beside me because I can't remember in which order they come. But the 2 first laws that we are going to talk about is the mastery of the laws is you exist, you have always existed. And the second law, everything is here and now. These are the 2 laws that we are going to dive into the mastery level of those. And when we do that, we're going to end up with the mastery law 1, cryptic, and law 2, nocturnal. Correct?
Yes, very much. Yeah.
Good. Because now I'm going to let you just give an explanation about the foundation law, short brief before we dive into these mastery levels.
Gotcha. Yeah. So basically, just the overview of the 5 laws. Law number 1, you kind of just said it's you exist, you have always existed, and you will always exist. Law number 2, everything is here and now. Pretty self-explanatory. Law 3 is the one is all, the all is one. Law 4, what you put out is what you get back. And law number 5, the only constant is change, except for the laws. Each one of those has a level of mastery connected with it. And basically, like the laws, they kind of build onto each other. But the levels of mastery, more so, you really do have to start with the first one, the cryptic, to build onto the next ones. You can't really skip around with this.
So if we are going to the law 1, foundation law, you exist, and the mastery level is cryptic and law, how do you combine those 2? Because there are 2 different sentences. You exist, there is this wholeness, not holiness, but wholeness. And the mastery law, cryptic and law, sounds that there are some if put in the you exist.
Gotcha. Well, basically the you exist and how it connects with cryptic, the mastery of it is that when you're mastering, the cryptic level, you are kind of connecting in with yourself, the you exist part, the kind of foundational awareness of self, but also connecting with majorly nature and earth, where you kind of positioned yourself in the you exist, where you position yourself in life. And so it's the mastery of connecting to nature so that you aren't just in nature, you are nature. You kind of expand yourself out to not just being some, observer, kind of just floating in, whateverness, and not kind of separate from the other things. This is kind of connecting you, kind of bringing you down to the foundational kind of seat of awareness, of consciousness. You're kind of bringing yourself to here. So kind of simple meditations, and kind of what all meditations really do is trying to bring you into your awareness and bring you into now, so that you're not going off past, future, thinking about random things. You're kind of settling yourself into the center. And that's what the cryptic really is aiming for, is that you bring yourself into here and now so that you have an awareness of self. You have an awareness and a deep connection with nature, earth, why you incarnated, not necessarily why, but that you did incarnate, that you are a being, you are human, you are here, and not to get too far off with other things, just be here.
Could you say that the cryptic, a statement of your existence on earth, a connection and expression of your life as it is in the way you are familiar, is that similar to your higher self?
Well, it'd be kind of combining the higher self. It's not separating it. It's kind of saying that the higher self isn't up here, all that type of stuff. It's within here. It's kind of bringing it all down into a oneness,
Yeah.
And so it's not, it's the main thing is just trying to not separate. Yeah. But the kind of parallel or the irony, so to speak, of it is when you talk about like ego is like a lot of people try to get rid of ego, their, ego death and all that type of stuff in their spiritual journey. Ego is actually going to be very somewhat important, or has a purpose, if you will, for this level of mastery, because it's trying to get you singleized into one awareness. You're not yet going into the otherness, the connecting with the other yous, if you will. It's kind of trying to singulate or separate yourself into your actual experience, your projection of self here. What ego actually does is creates the separation of you and other. That's kind of its main purpose, it's to separate. So here it's actually kind of important. You don't want to completely get rid of it, because it allows that framing of you.
Yeah, that is. I'm trying to connect the image of it when you are talking about it. So that could be a bit confusing, and you said it yourself that everybody's talking about the death of ego, but ego is also a part of your existence, and
Yes.
in this time you really need to use it to hold the frequency of, or whatever I would call it, within yourself. Is that what you are saying?
Yes. Yeah, basically it's like it's needed now for this first level mastery, because what you're doing with the cryptic is anchoring yourself down into your own awareness here, into earth, into kind of the physicality here. Because when you move on to the next levels of the mastery, you're getting into higher and higher frequencies, getting kind of further and further out from yourself. And so if you don't have a good foundational anchor to yourself, you get lost in the other, and you kind of forget you. And so the cryptic is the true, like, if you don't master cryptic, or you don't have a good foundation around that, you can't go on to the others, because you kind of go crazy. You lose yourself, you lose your awareness of here and now. So it's important to get it right, or like to really focus on it here.
Yeah, definitely. And I still got this picture coming back with a higher self. The image that everyone is looking at when we are talking about the higher self. There's a certain picture that we are used to see, but still I get this, like, what we are doing right now globally is trying to connect to our higher self, not in this realm of spirituality, but anchor it into Mother Earth, to this realm, if you want to call it that, this physical life. So somehow I do understand what you're saying, but I still get these pictures coming back to me, how this energy is from the higher self is anchoring into the physical world within yourself, and the importance of being there. But I also get a quote from the Bible, and I do not know how you say it in English, but there is something about that the female part should be silenced in the community, and a lot of people has interpreted that like the women should be quiet and not take place in the world. But to me, that is more a symbolic of what you are talking about right now, the ego, um, and the physical being, the female being, and the masculine being, the unity uniting between those. Is that something that are connected to this first cryptic?
Sort of, yeah, because it's you're dealing with both of those energies, the masculine and the feminine. But when you're having the ego and kind of coming into separation to just oneness of yourself, just kind of being here and now, that's kind of a masculine trait. It's very straightforward. If you think of it as masculine energy is very straight line, feminine energy is curved.
Yeah.
And so earth is feminine energy, the awareness and separation to yourself is masculine. So you're kind of connecting the two. You're connecting the earth feminine energy to the masculine individual kind of self. So you kind of anchor it down, and there you complete the circuit, if you will, of both masculine or balancing, so to speak, of the masculine and feminine energies.
Interesting. So is there anything more you want to add to that? Like, what is the purpose of cryptic? That's a tricky one.
Yeah, well, the purpose is to allow that to foundational self. So it's so that you don't lose yourself in your journey. It is very beneficial to have an identity, to have a self, to have a specific journey that is only for you. Because a lot of times when we get further and further into our spiritual journey and kind of connect more and more with the oneness, the non-separation part of our existence, you kind of lose yourself. You kind of become part of the group, and you sometimes will lose your identity. You don't have as much of it as you might have had at the very beginning of your journey. And it's only sometimes. Some people can balance it very well, and they kind of have their individuality, but still feel the connectedness and the oneness, if you will. But the cryptic is good to allow for that sense of individuality, having an anchor to nature, and to, like I said before, not be in nature, but be nature. Because nature, you are an expression of nature, just like a tree, a flower, animals. They're all expressions of nature. And we humans tend to separate ourselves from it, saying, oh, that's over here, we're over here. But you're not, you are it. You're still part of nature.
Yeah, definitely. And I also can feel that this is that kind of work that a lot of so-called priestesses has been doing for a rather long time, anchoring the light, as they say or always say. But it's still not about just anchoring another's heavenly light. It's also about just being one with nature and with everything that is around. So you can say that, or how I interpret it right now, is that cryptic is the mastery level of cryptic, the foundation law you exist, is something that these priestesshood are actually protecting, gathering, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, because that practice of connecting with nature and being part of it is allowing for communication with nature. You're actually being able to talk to the trees, to talk with elementals, to the rocks,
Yeah.
you know, everything. And so it's part of communication, this back and forth dialogue that you have with nature. Whereas now most people have no communication with it, therefore they're more acceptable or just easier to destroy. They kind of just, oh, it's nature, oh, whatever, I don't really care, type of thing. When you have that foundational connection, that rootedness to it, you care a little bit more about Earth. You care a little bit more about, you know, the back and forth dynamic that you are that's happening with nature and you know, it's back and forth.
I guess watchers was the word that I was looking for, because they are watchers of nature, and they are also watchers of energy by itself. And I also was about to use the word coven, but I thought it might be a bit some people may connect it to something negative, but coven is a pretty good name, actually. Pagans are beautiful, and the priestesses are beautiful. They are protecting and holding a lot of beautiful energy for this reality that we are in. So that was interesting. So that is definitely something that they should be aware of, that they are mastery. They have this mastery level of cryptic within their description of what they are working with.
Yes, yeah. With the coven, it's like every individual within the coven is working on that cryptic mastery, but they're also doing it within a group. So it's individualized, but it's also connected with others. So it's a really cool dynamic, because you can kind of build off of each other. And even though the work itself is fairly individualized, it's you having to actually do the work, you actually having to connect and to sit with it, so to speak. To have the other people that are doing it with you kind of increases the energy, if you will, kind of increases the excitement to do it, you know.
Yeah, because every time you get in a group, the energy is more dynamic. So of course it has to be more dynamic even there. And when they are mastering levels or this mastery level of cryptic, they are well aware of the energy they are working with. So the next question there will be, is there another mastery level to cryptic?
Well, it's not like it's going to be divided into different levels, but there might be different awarenesses or stages within the cryptic, if you will. It's not really going to be separated too much. It's just more of the progression into the mastery. You might start off with barely having any connection with nature or yourself at all, and eventually you kind of grow and grow and grow. And so it's more just like stages of kind of more connectedness and more communication.
It's like a spiritual growth within the cryptic, so to speak.
Yes, exactly.
So, well, that's interesting. Very interesting, and I got a new respect for these laws, because now you can apply them to certain groups, and you can see the connection of how they are mastering the energy there. So now I'm curious about law 2, Nocturnal, the awareness that everything exists all at once, and the ability to connect to those parallel realities.
Yeah, so when you have that good foundation from the cryptic, you move on to the nocturnal. And the nocturnal begins with just the awareness, the kind of enlightenment, if you will, of the timelessness, that everything is here and now, and you have a connection to it. You have, you know, links to everything. And so once you kind of have that eureka moment of that, you know, time is an illusion, time and space are illusion, actually, and that it's all happening simultaneously, you have more ability to connect with all those different forms of awareness, or the different timelines, different energies, all that type of stuff. And so what you do in nocturnal is kind of take information from all the different areas, all that's happening simultaneously. So, you know, different lifetimes that you've had, different lifetimes that you will have, even lives that are not connected to you or anything like that, is you can connect to different dimensional realities, all that type of stuff. And what you're doing with the Nocturnal is basically downloading that energy, that information, and utilizing it in your life. And so it's more of a connection to all information. It's kind of the connecting to the Akashic records, if you will.
Yeah. So yeah, you have to explain that further.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Yes. Yeah. So basically, it's there's not much to do with it once you kind of get it. It's kind of a shorter law or mastery, if you will, because once you get it, it's kind of easy to get it. The cryptic is a little bit harder to get the foundation going and kind of go through that whole thing. But once you get to the Nocturnal, it kind of moves a little bit faster because you already have a good foundation. Now you have the awareness that everything is happening simultaneously, and so it's easier to have the idea or the awareness to connect to that thing, be like, oh yeah, that is me as well. I'm going to connect with it and draw that energy in, draw that information in. And we're kind of already doing it now, we just aren't aware of it. And a lot of these levels of mastery, we all have some we're all doing some of it sometimes, but we're usually not aware of it. And so the levels of mastery kind of focus in on the things that we might be doing but not be aware of it, and kind of individualizes them out, kind of spreads them out, and makes it a little bit more focused. And so, Nocturnal connecting with all those energies, if you are going through an extreme difficult time, or you need some type of some information that will get you through this next obstacle that you're facing, you connect in with a being, an energy that's already done it, or has the information for you, and you just kind of download that energy, so you have more ability to get through obstacles and challenges in your life.
So then you can apply it to, like, if we are holding on to the watchers that we talked about earlier, the priestesses and pagans and groups, people who are gardening too, of course.
Yes,
yeah. But if we are going back there, so like, take a tree hugger. Yeah, because when you hug a tree, you are connecting on a deeper level, feeling the strength, the power, exchanging energy. Is that must be some type of nocturnal level too.
Yes, exactly. That would be almost combining the first and second together. You would have the communication with the nature, communication with the actual tree, and you're also downloading the energy, the information that the tree has had and gathered over its years of being, and also the network that the tree is connected to. So it's not just that tree. You might be hugging that tree or really connecting with that one, but the root system is connected to all the other trees and all the other plants and all that stuff around it. So you're also getting the energy and information from those as well, and kind of bringing it in.
And we did a live a bit back, or I had a live anyway, talking about this connection, the how the environment talking to each other with invisible language. Is it okay if I just take a break and let the cat out?
Yes, go ahead. Yes.
Because it started to tear up the apartment here. But yeah, definitely. I also, when you were talking about this connection and how it can integrate in using these downloads, and you said that we are in this midst right now, I got this sense that we were talking about channeling and the collectives downloading. So you are free to talk about that, because you do have a lot of experience of that, and I will be right back. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So with channeling, it's the same thing as the Nocturnal. As you're kind of taking in information. And sometimes it's from, because everything is here now, it might seem like it's from future, for past, and different dimensional levels, different beings in different dimensions, or different areas of the universe. But it is basically just a connection to that frequency, that vibration, and tuning into it so that you become one with that frequency. Kind of resonates with you, and it comes through. It might come through speaking, or sometimes it might come through with writing, painting, music. It's not just specifically to actual channeling where there's a being kind of talking through you, but you do it randomly throughout your life. If you're dancing, playing music, painting, all that type of stuff, that can be a form of channeling. You're getting some download of energy, and it's coming through in that specific way. And so it's not as hard or kind of scary to think about or something like that, but you can kind of just tap into it naturally when you're having fun, if you will. And that's kind of why sometimes it feels like things just come out of nowhere, like energies or different painting ideas or different styles of music, all that type of stuff. It all will randomly come through, and you're like, well, where did that come from? You're connecting to energies that were just you were unaware of before, but they come in, and you just accept them, go through it with it.
Yeah, and that is the easier part, to draw energy to connect with these inspirational energies that are pouring in when you are. I heard you mention painting, and that is kind of you enter a meditative state of mind, which is the same thing you usually do when you are in the channeling mood, or you just meditate and you get connections. But you can also, when you're talking on downloads, I do know that you can tap into, let's say I'm tapping into your energy field and download energy from you, not taking energy. But if you have like let's get tricky here. Let's say that you have developed a immune defense towards something, then other people can, with your permission, download that code from you, using it in their own energy field.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And it's not like you're taking it from them, like you said. It's more like it's being copied, it's like just a copier, and you're just being sent the copy.
Yeah.
So it can get
yeah, please go on.
Well, it can get pretty creative and pretty out there if you take it out there. But like you said, that's a perfect example of like the creativeness that you can have with this nocturnal mastery, is connecting to an immune defense. If someone has built up a defense against a certain virus or a certain whatever, and you connect with them and they allow you to copy that thing, it will go into your DNA system and will go into the immune system and kind of build up that awareness of what things it can block now, or what can it defend against. So that's a really good example.
And that is pretty amazing stuff to do, because then you get into like you're moving your mind, and I do know that they have done not experiments, but they have been watching animals on different islands, and they can see that they are doing the same behavior, but without being connected to each other. So that has to be an energetic field.
Yeah, that one's called the 100 monkey experiment. That was done on the island, I think, in Japan, where they first were aware of it, so to speak. And they would have young monkeys, like the kids, so to speak. They would give them fruit or some type of potato, or some type of thing, but it would be covered in sand or something that would make it so it's like kind of unedible. And they would teach the young monkeys to clean it off in the water, right? And so they finally were able to eat it. And then the those monkeys would try to teach the older generation of like, oh, this is how you do it, type of thing. And that would progress into the little group that they had there. But they would realize that on the next island over, where these monkeys never had contact with them, they're doing the same thing. They just automatically started doing that. And so it's kind of the collective conscious and kind of you connecting and taking that information from the other and utilizing it yourself.
That's pretty amazing.
Yes.
That's so cool, because if it works there, it obviously works with everything that are alive and living and thinking. So it's an energy field, and that is a beautiful example of how the energy is transmitting itself energetically. So there is also something else there, because now we're getting a picture of how the cryptic works and how the nocturnal works. And then I got pointed into a direction that I want to go, because that means that you can, if you can move the energy with your mind, because the nocturnal is more like a mind process. You can also move yourself with that energy. So it's not just like tapping into that energy. So when you are moving with that energy, are we still on nocturnal, or is that another mastery?
You're like on the very edge of going into shapeshifter, into the next one, to where you are starting to express the energy, express the information that you downloaded. You can use the energy stuff like, oh, like an example of connecting to an energy that might build your muscles or something like that. It kind of reshapes the body, if you will, to make it healthier or kind of more effective, if you will, just a better body. From that point, you would be technically downloading the information into your DNA, which would change the body and all that type of stuff. So that's still in the nocturnal. But where it turns into the shapeshifter is that you're actually expressing a different form at that point. You're kind of changing the form that you were into something else. You're kind of
yeah, because they are not pointing me in that direction to shapeshifter. I had to Google up the English word remote viewing. That is the word.
Okay.
That is the
yes.
the hand pointing to Cody. Remote viewing.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Yes. When you are in nocturnal, remote viewing is a good like exercise, if you will, to strengthen that level of mastery, because it would be you connecting to other places that are, all happening simultaneously, because everything is here now. That's kind of the point of it, is you can connect to anywhere, anytime. You could remote view into the future, past, if what we call it, future past. You can remote view into different dimensional levels, different planets that are even right now. It's like it has so much versatility of what you can connect into and actually visually see. You're kind of taking that information visually coming in and then connecting and doing that. So yeah, it's a fun one to do, because it's not just an exercise, but it's also entertainment.
Yeah, it could be entertaining if you're not working on NASA or Pentagon.
yes.
Because,
some of those were a little, that was more work and more.
But I do know the Pentagon has a division and that's been working on this remote viewing, and there are many places all around the world. England, probably other places. Russia, I'm sure Russia has too.
Russia was they are the most intense with it, so to speak. Russia was the ones that first started it, and and Germany and all that type of stuff back in World War II. When we were fighting, the Germans and the Russians, all that type of stuff, we had spies that would go into their lands, and they'll be coming back with information of like, okay, there's this like whole department that's dedicated into this, psychometry thing. They're having people sit in this room and they're telling information that they have no, access to, and all that type of stuff. And so the United States was like, what's going on? Maybe we should look into this. So they started their own program because the other ones were doing it first.
Yeah, and it's worldwide, and there are some modern versions of it too. I can't remember the name of that YouTube channel I was watching, but they are giving, it's something with experiment, but they are giving coordinates, and they are a couple of people who get together and they have these educational lectures about on how to proceed with remote viewing, but they are giving coordinations, and they are supposed to go to that place and bring in information. So that could be a good playground to have with friends to explore how the mind is working.
Oh, yes. Yeah, and it's kind of, you can teach it to anybody, so to speak. You don't have to have some special talent or whatever. Like, some people are better at it, obviously, than others, but it's something that can be taught to anybody, and it's part of that nocturnal mastery where everybody has the ability to do these levels of mastery. That's kind of already baked into them. You're just kind of bringing it out of yourself. You're kind of honing into it and mastering the stuff that you already have.
So those people who are more of a empath, are they more connected or more open for using this nocturnal energy or level?
Yes. Yeah, they're almost doing it unconsciously. That's the type of thing, is what empath is. You're connecting to the energies that another is projecting out. And even from, all over the world, you might randomly get sad because you're connecting to some group that just had a major tragedy, and you have no clue about it. You're not aware of it, but the energy is still going to be projected out into the universe, and you're just unconsciously connecting to it, and downloading that energy or information. So, yeah.
It's kind of fun, but because the empaths, when the word empath started to pop up, everybody was like, oh, empaths, they are a bit magical somehow.
Yes, right.
Yeah, and then everybody was empaths and feeling so down low, and so it was almost like, oh, you're an empath, oh, sorry.
Yes, exactly right.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, it went all the way up in there. It was like, oh shit, yeah.
Exactly, but we are restoring the empath's reputation right now, because
Mhm.
if you are an empath, you are mastering level 2 nocturnal.
Yes, exactly. You're well ahead of the class, if you will, with that.
That is
Mhm.
something beautiful to hold on to, because if you can feel everything and go down in energy, you can also feel everything and block it.
Yes, you can feel it, and you can tap into the happy stuff as well. It's not just the sad stuff and all the
That
negative.
one is better.
Yes.
Good point. That is so much better. So that's pretty much what we have to say about those two, right? Or do you have anything more you want to?
Um, I was just going to say there may be a few exercises that you can do to tap into the cryptic a little bit more, which, there's a lot of different, tools that you can use. I like to call them tools. That is kind of very well known to kind of connecting to yourself, which is the basic meditations and all that type of stuff. But there's certain ones that would kind of amplify your connection to the cryptic, but not everybody is going to have the ability to do it because it's kind of location based, if you will. If you're in some city and you don't have any grass or trees around, it's kind of hard to tap into the cryptic energy. You can still somewhat do it, but it's going to be like you fighting against a river, so to speak. It's a lot harder to tap into that energy. But if you're around a place that has abundant nature around, you can literally go into nature and connect with it much easier. And so one of the exercises that you do is finding a place that has, like good trees and all that type of stuff, but also like maybe a small creek or a river kind of going through it. And what you kind of do is just sit, with your back against the tree facing the river or creek, and you kind of connect your heartbeat, if you will, to the sound of the water going past. And so it's a kind of this cyclical thing of the energy coming from the river is kind of coming into you. You are connecting to the ground and to the tree that's behind you, and moving that energy to the river, and it's kind of coming back. So you're creating this cycle of energy going back and forth from you to the tree, to the ground, to the river, back to you, to the tree, to the ground, to you. And so it kind of develops this connection that you are not separate from this place that you are sitting. You are one with it.
That is a beautiful, I can feel the energy right now when you're talking about it. It also brings me back to that workshop we had when you were connected to earth and the environment around you, and how the trees roots are seeking themselves through vibrations to the water, locating their way to the waters, and how they actually emits energy out to communicate with other plants around them. So being in the water and the tree and being a part of that circle is definitely something that will bring you closer to this energy. Felt really good. I'm going to try that one later on here. Beautiful. Thank you, Cody.
Yes.
Do you have any other techniques?
Techniques for the nocturnal are a little bit scarce. There's the remote viewing and all that type of stuff, but that one is more you kind of just have to feel it, so to speak. You kind of have to get used to being able to tap into those energies that you might not be fully aware of before. And so there's less techniques for that one than there are for the cryptic. Cryptic has a lot of things. It's all of the spectrum of spiritual growth. There's millions of different techniques to use, and so it's kind of hard to boil them down. I just thought of that one because it seemed it's the most not advanced, but like it's the one that taps you into that energy quicker. You're the most like stronger, if you will.
It's the grounding energy, so to speak.
Yes. Yeah.
For this level. But now I got curious. You said the technique for nocturnal is a bit, you didn't say scary, did you?
Yeah, it's not scary. It's just kind of unknown. You're tapping into energies that you might not be fully aware of. So sometimes you have to be a little bit more careful with it, because you don't want to be downloading energies that would be negatively impacting your life. You want to truly like have that awareness of the energy that you are tapping into, and feel like if it's resonating or not. If it's not resonating, don't accept that energy. And so it's being aware of the energies around you a little bit more.
So now that I can sense that, because when you're sitting in a circle and you're holding the energy for the group, you can sense when energies are sneaking into the energy field, and you do know that, this energy is welcome and this energy you are blocking, because you don't want that energy to enter. So I can definitely resonate with that too. Interesting. Now I got it explained perfectly well here. I like that. So we are going to move forward, and you are going to do a bit of a distance healing for us with your beautiful stone. But before we go further, you are going to talk about the 2 or 3 other laws next week. And I'm just going to open up here and see if I can remember what they were. Otherwise, you have to say it yourself.
Yeah, gotcha. Yes. Well, the levels that would be next would be shapeshifter, is the connected to the level or the law 3. The one for law 4 would be the sage, and then for law 5 would be the wraith.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and some of those get into levels that most humans would not be able to actually master. Like for a lot of higher vibrational beings that are kind of helping Earth and all that type of stuff, and the human progress, the higher consciousness, the or collective conscious progress. They kind of want us to only focus on the first, maybe like 2, 3, to really get that solid. Going past that is kind of not dangerous, but it's just you might not be able to fully tap into those energies and frequencies quite yet.
That is going to be exciting. Exciting to listen how you trying to explain that for us.
Yes. Yeah.
So beautiful. So that will be like in 2 weeks, right?
Yes. Yeah. 2 weeks.
Yeah. We are 1 day behind today because we had other things to do yesterday. So, but that's good. Everything will be uploaded on internet so everyone could take part of this. And this is on Gathering of Light, but you can also watch it on the other channels around us. And yeah, well, take it away, Cody. We're going to do a distance healing now.
Yep. Which is another practice of the nocturnal, because yeah. Okay, so this is a red jasper. It is really good for grounding and kind of earth energy, and so I thought this would be a perfect crystal to be sending energy and connecting to all that type of stuff. For anybody that does not know what I'm about to do, I'm basically going to be tapping into the energy of this crystal and sending it out to anyone who accepts it. If you don't want to accept this energy, you literally just say, I don't want to accept it, and you're fine. It won't affect you. If you do, then either mentally or verbally say, I accept this energy, and it will come to you. So basic explanation. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. energy is kind of closing up, they're finishing out.
That was a powerful one.
Yes, yeah. A lot of energy pushing out from my hand. It was almost pushing it back, you know.
Very dynamic, very dynamic. Sometimes my guides are a bit late with words. They are, you know, I'm thinking in another language, and then sometimes they don't translate for me. So earth midwives was the word that I was looking for when we were talking about law 1 and the priestesses and pagans. So that is a beautiful word, earth midwives, because they are definitely the on the mastery level of cryptic.
Yes, definitely.
So yeah, well, thank you so much for today. There was a lot of stuff to take in today too, but I do love the dots that are connecting and how we can break these laws into practical, and we can also sense that we can apply them to groups, so it will be more it's easier to identify the energy of who is practicing what. So at least for me, we are maybe confusing the words for everybody who is listening, but then again, you have something to work with, trying to decrypt this information. Well done, Cody. Well done. That was a very fun discussion about these laws. So the next time we get together, we will talk about law 3 and 4, and that was
Shapeshifter and Sage.
Shapeshifter and Sage, right? So that will be the next chat about that. So is there anything you want to end this conversation with?
One beneficial thing would be to go back to the laws when we were discussing them, and at the end there's a guided meditation with each of them, and each of those guided meditations might actually help connect further into the levels of mastery. So if you want, you can go back and
and we were talking about the last time that we should try to edit out the exercises, or what you want to call them, to the laws and connect them, and we will definitely do that when the time is right to do so. Yeah, so definitely you can go back and watch their replays and do the exercises. They are so freaking good to do, and they are very powerful, very short, very powerful and dynamic. So definitely you will get a hint of how these mastery levels are working, because they are in that foundational exercise too. Yeah, good. So we are going to say thank you very much, everyone, for listening and tuning in here, and thank you, Cody, for the healing, for the explanations, and your patience with my my questions. Thank you. And to all of you out there, take care of yourself. We love you all, and we are longing to see you again in 2 weeks to talk more about the other laws. See you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.